Good morning. Good Monday morning. We only have 2 more of these small business connections. I am Ann Brennan, and this is ASMM Small Business Connections. We are the podcast for entrepreneurs by entrepreneurs. Next week, we'll have one more guest, and the following week, you will get a whole new podcast. It will be Marketing Moms, and that will be just me and Anastasia, and we'll be talking. In case you guys are wondering why I look this tired, I had the most wonderful weekend. I was in Boston. If you have not been, it is the best city. I've been, but only on marathon weekends, which is also a cool time to go. But marathon weekends, you're busy. You don't have time to see the city. This time I did. And I just want to say, if you go to Mike's Pastries. They have cannoli. I had my very first cannoli of my life on Saturday, and it was delicious. I know, waited my whole life for it. Crazy. I also want to remind you that you can ask questions here because we are live. We are live on Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube. So if you're on any of those platforms and you leave a comment and we are still live, then we will see those comments and we can answer them for you. So please do that. I want to introduce my guest today, and I'm going to do it a little bit differently. She is wonderful, but I'm going to do it from a personal standpoint. I want to say I have what I consider to be a really big personality, and I take up a lot of room, and I think I intimidate people. Sometimes my kids tell me I'm terrifying, which means that most people don't correct me or push me as hard as I should be pushed. And Cristel was my business advisor through the Goldman Sachs program, and holy cow, she did not stop. She pushed so hard, and it made me better the entire time. So she's a wonderful person. She works with businesses across the country, I think, and she helps them to grow their businesses. If you're looking for somebody, I cannot recommend her highly enough. I've never said that on this podcast before, so the fact that I'm saying it now says a lot about this woman. So let me introduce her. There you go. Hi, Cristel. How are you?
I am awesome. Thank you for having me today, Ann.
Yeah, this was great. And then you really did. You pushed me so hard to do better each week.
You know what? I give people what they give me because it's about energy. It's about being able to reciprocate that. And I come wanting it more than you do, but it's your business. So my job is to ask those hard questions to get you thinking differently and stepping outside your comfort zone.
Well, and you did, because it's not, it's easy for me to say, oh, I know what I'm doing. But most of the time I don't. So and let's talk about that, because most of us start a business because, we're either tired of working in the world where we've been working, or we have something that we're passionate about and we want to grow it. Most of us don't grow a business saying, oh, I can't wait to pay payroll, or I can't wait to look at my financials. None of us do that. So it's important that we learn that from somebody, and you help people do that.
Absolutely. Absolutely. There is a sexy side to business, and then there's a not so sexy side to business. And it's all of those things that are outside of your passion, outside of your subject matter expertise. Like you said, it's the payroll. It's making sure that you've got strong operations. It's making sure that you have the right team around you to help actually manifest the dream that you have in your head of this whole business. It comes from doing these less than exciting activities. They're really foundational and help build a strong business so you can keep being creative and keep being that passionate person that you are about that industry that you're in or the expertise that you have.
Absolutely. And it's so hard because when you're in it, you're just working. And if you don't look up, there's things, we talked about it, you helped me find it, things that I just wasn't doing. Yeah. Or wasn't even selling, things that I do that I was not selling at all. And so just having the conversation with you was a reminder that, oh my God, why am I not selling that? So having a business advisor is huge.
It's really important for someone to help provide perspective, right? Business owners tend to be on an island. They tend to isolate themselves and immerse themselves very deeply into the work that they're doing, and they're putting out a lot of fires. And sometimes those fires take their attention away from their core passion because they're putting out so many fires. they lose sight of their vision. They lose sight of opportunity to grow and strengthen their business. A business coach is someone that can help you see the landscape, help you understand the environment in a different way than what you may be seeing it from your position as owner and founder of your company.
And I have worked with you, for 16 weeks, and
Yeah.
I've worked with other business coaches, and I've never had anybody say that, but it makes sense. So when I go in for a marketing call, I was telling my husband this. I had a potential client on Friday, and I went in and I gave him 3 little tidbits while we're sitting there, and each of them for him were like, oh my God, why haven't I ever thought of that? I'm like, because I'm on this side. But it never occurred to me that that's what, as a business coach, you have as well.
Absolutely. I'm here to tap you on your shoulder. It's as opposed to a good devil and an angel sitting on your shoulder. It's a well-rounded business advisor that taps you on your shoulder and says, hey, I know that things are tough in your business. That's usually when the call comes, right?
Right.
They're looking for something different to happen. Well, for something different to happen, you've got to do differently. So coming out of your silo, taking a look at what's going on in your environment, whether it's directly related to your business or not, can spark ingenuity, can remind you of something, can bring you refocus to why you're in the business that you're in. So all of these activities can happen with the assistance of a business coach. Even if you're in peer groups talking to other business owners, don't remain an island. Get a network and remain surrounded by new energy. It keeps you going.
Absolutely. Yeah. If you're on your own, what does that say? There's a saying that if you want to go fast, go alone.
Yes.
If you want to go far,
Or go together. Absolutely.
Yeah,
It takes
absolutely.
a village to raise a child. There's logic in group and community. It's not necessarily adversarial, right? There is enough out here for all of us. We just have to decide which part of the pond that we're going to grow in.
Absolutely. All right. Well, let's talk about growing. As we're growing, what are some of the biggest mistakes business owners make?
Wow. There's a really long list, but they all revolve around common themes: the people, the profit, and the purpose. Those are the biggest mistakes that I see business owners making, whether they don't have the right team or they're not maximizing the team skill sets that they have. They're not paying attention to their profitability. They're not looking at their bottom line. They're not even sure if they have a profit from the products and services that they're selling. And then, of course, their purpose. They lose sight of their why. They forget why they're into it, and they're just kind of burdened by the tasks of the day-to-day business operations.
Absolutely. And I will tell you, on the profit thing, I really wasn't sure. I wasn't. I thought, okay, well, I'm bringing money into my life, right? I've got money coming into my household, but am I really profitable? Does this make sense? And it totally does. So
Right.
yeah,
It's something that you've really got to look into in a way that you may not understand it without having this kind of business acumen. Because sure,
exactly.
like you said, there's money coming home, but is it the right amount of money? Am I actually decreasing the equity in my business by taking these draws? Am I paying myself in the right way? All of
Right.
these little nuances can affect profitability in your business. We haven't even started talking about pricing the services or making sure that you have customers that are the right customers that can actually pay for the services that you're offering.
Absolutely. Yeah. And that was another thing that we learned. But I think so much of the time we're afraid to look. We're like, I
You know,
know that I
yeah.
could call her.
Money is so emotional. Look, it was probably one of the hardest things that I had to learn and really start to embrace as a business owner is that the things that you learn from your parents may not have been the best tools for you as a business owner. So you have to gain new information and relearn tasks and activities when it comes to really understanding profitability in your business. You've got to really take a step back from the emotional relationship that you may have with money that may be clouding your vision, right? There's this whole talk about living debt free, but having a debt free business may not be the best move if you're really looking at strategic growth. So,
Right.
learning more information about your business acumen and developing those skills on the financial side of things makes it easier to grow, look stronger, and more efficiently.
Yes, absolutely. You've got to have, I mean, what was the old TV show, right? Knowledge is power.
Yes.
Schoolhouse Rock, knowledge is power.
Look, GI Joe
Absolutely.
said it. Now you know what I mean?
Exactly. All right, so let's talk about, so what are the strategies for growing your business? What do we do?
You know what? It really is up to the beholder, right? How do
Right,
you envision growth? Once you decide your trajectory, right, then you can plan your path. But deciding that trajectory can be a really difficult part because you may not be able to see how you can grow. You may think of growth as making more money come into your business, generating additional revenue. That's fine. Generating additional revenue is a very good, strong tactic. But do you have enough cash flow within your operations to sustain that increased revenue? Because increased revenue means you're doing more selling. Do you have enough people to handle those new sales? Do you have long-term customer support for when after the customer clicks buy or signs that contract? What happens next? So you want to make sure when you decide your trajectory that you have the infrastructure in place to actually execute and get that roadmap to that destination. So
right.
that's really a key strategy, is deciding that trajectory. You look around at your environment, what others are doing in your industry, what your competitors are doing. And I hear a lot of business owners say, well, I really don't have competition. I don't even think
Oh,
about them at all. I love that one. I think it's great. Sure. No, they're not going to encroach on your territory, but they may do something that you don't do so well, very well. So there's something for you
right.
to learn about them. They may have a customer segment that you want to tap into. How did they get into that market? Learning those trends, that's going to help you pick that trajectory.
Exactly. You know what? And we never say it, and there has to be another word for it, because sometimes if you're really uncomfortable with the idea of competitor, what if you just think of similar businesses? It's not a competitor; it's a similar business. So
Similar
we're
business. Yes.
yeah, we're working with right now an energy company, and they're a small energy company, very small. But what we're doing is comparing them to a couple of gigantic energy companies
Oh, yeah.
and saying, how did they get there? What are they doing? What are some of the things they're doing that you could do? So maybe, because we hear that all the time, I don't have any competitors. Like, but you do. And you need to know what they're doing.
That's right.
And sometimes you learn from them. Used to work for a running shoe store, and I would pay attention. I'm like, what are they doing over there? Oh, I didn't know it was National Running Day.
Yes. Look, there's
you
a
know.
story about this buried in the Amazon story. They were
Okay.
actually hired by Barnes and Nobles to build their online retail opportunity.
Right.
Amazon was definitely not in direct competition with them at the time, but had aspirations to be better than them at the book selling game. So they
Right.
took a job with someone who was somewhat of a competitor, but they they weren't on the same playing field. You know what I mean? They were in the same
Right.
industry, they weren't on the same playing field. But through that work, they learned a lot about Barnes and Nobles. And I don't know
Right.
about you. When's the last time you were in a Barnes and Nobles?
I know, right? Exactly. Actually, I'm horrible about that anymore. I know you still read paper books. I generally read my books on Kindle, mostly because I read so much, and I can carry 10 books. I can carry 100 books with me wherever I travel with my little Kindle.
I do both. I've got paper and digital. It actually depends on how I'm trying to consume the information, which platform that I choose to take, and whether I'm
Yeah.
actually going to relay that information out to other people, because I'm an avid note taker. But
Yes.
we were talking about strategies to grow a business. Writing it down is one of those strategies that you've got to do. You've got to get it out of your head. You've got to get it out of concept and onto paper. So you've got to lay out that plan for yourself. You find that trajectory, you map out your plan, you write it down, right? You have to look at all aspects of your business so you can be prepared to take on that growth opportunity that may come your way. Absolutely. Write it down.
Absolutely. Well, and one thing you guys taught me was that just because you can grow, just because it is a growth opportunity, doesn't mean it's one you want to take.
Yeah,
Right. And
absolutely.
so writing it down and working through it. Is this worth your time right now?
That's right.
Right.
Even
Is it
if
worth your
you
time?
don't have the energy to write it down, it's probably something you shouldn't dedicate time, talent, and other resources to.
Absolutely. And if you write it down, then you can hone in on it. And for me, I do things. I jump in. So writing it down slows me down just enough to make me think, okay, should I?
Yes. Strategy is something that you have to contemplate and think about. Strategy requires contemplation, data gathering, and assessment. You've got to be
Yes.
able to do those things before you start acting. Otherwise, you're going off kind of half-cocked.
Right, exactly. Well, so let's talk about something else. Right now we're talking about these established businesses, but when I started my business, I started with a business card and a computer, and that was it. And I didn't have a strategy. How much strategy do you need? Do you need strategy for a startup?
Absolutely. How are you going to get from concept to proof of concept to revenue generating business? Some people look at developing a new business strategy as your business plan. That really is your roadmap that you would lay out to tell you how you're going to run this business. And when a startup takes the time to compose a business plan, whether it's a one-pager or something way more voluminous, it gives them measurable goals. It gives them performance measures to strive to. It even gives them insight on where they're going to get their first customer from. So that's really important question. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, and we find that with in marketing, right? We sit down and we do a brand assessment, right? Who are you? What do you stand for? Who are your customers? And it is really about 90% of the time, the people I'm talking to have no idea. They don't until we start analyzing it. So it is important that you know that who you're trying to target, what you're trying to do, where you're trying to go with this. Is this going to be a lifestyle business, or is this something that you're like, I want to be the next Amazon?
That's right. And having a plan, having something written for yourself, even as a startup, it helps you answer those questions for yourself and for the people who are going to need to support your business, whether it's staff you may bring on, suppliers you need to reach out to, or even customers. You're going to be consistent with the story that you tell and develop a really strong brand reputation for yourself. So yes, startups definitely need strategy.
Absolutely. So I do have a question though, as somebody who is, somebody called it precrastination, not procrastination. So I just jump in, both feet, let's do it. Anastasia's the same way. Let's just get it done. How do you, if you are a procrastinator, how do you keep your business plan from becoming your piece of procrastination? Because I know people do that.
They do. And I really want you to do a couple of things. I really want you to figure out personal fit, right? Being a business owner isn't easy, because if it was, everybody would be doing it. You need to get people around you who are in your industry, who are other business owners, and start talking to them so you can move from that procrastination to action. Something else that's going to be really helpful to you is when you do that primary plan for yourself, timelines and dates. You've got to set a date to get started, to do the thing. If you don't hold yourself accountable to your own hype, how is somebody else going to want to buy from you, going to want to work with you? You're setting yourself up for a harder time in business without getting from procrastination into action. Timelines, dates, and an accountability partner is a really helpful tool.
Oh, yeah. So an accountability partner could be a business advisor as well, right?
Why, yes. Accountability partner services is actually something that I do offer within the company. And it's almost like business counseling light. None of us are trained therapists, but we're really intuitive and we're really empathetic to the business owner, because there is a whole person back there. And we want to make sure that person is whole and has all the confidence they need to get out of procrastination, to get out of ruts, because it occurs. Life is up and down. It has peaks and valleys. We all know this. And sometimes you just need that little scoot up. But having strategy, having accountability, again, surrounding yourself with a network, developing a tribe, if you will be one of your saving graces.
Absolutely. I love that. All right. So let's talk about something that I didn't know I needed until you told me I needed it, which is data. So first of all, why do you need it? And how the hell do you find it? Sorry, now I'm going to have an explicit. Sorry. That's not a surprise.
Sometimes nothing fills the blank like an expletive. I get it. But
Exactly.
data are one of those things that help fill the blanks, right? There are a lot of unknowns in your business, but you don't want that uncertainty to foil you before you even get started. The way that you provide yourself with more knowledge and more information is gathering the data. Now, that data can come from a myriad of sources, a lot of which are absolutely free.
Right.
Absolutely free. You just got to let your fingers do the walking, like they used to say in the yellow pages, but you've got to do that on the internet. Get to your local library, ask your librarian about data. For startups, start with the industry data because you don't have any performance in your company. You want to find out what the industry is doing. And while I know everyone knows they have the new idea, there are very few original ones. There's somebody out there doing something similar to you that you can learn about the performance of their business or of their industry. Get that information. Reference USA is a great free website. Every library can provide this to you free of charge. Get to know your librarian, community colleges, your local universities. Ask those young people that are living in your home. They can see the internet better than you. Ask them
Right.
to help you, right? Don't be afraid to ask for help when starting a new business, especially when it comes to finding this data. Now, for an established business, there's a lot of data that's living and breathing within your own company. You just got to take some time to coordinate it and look at it and assess it and analyze it and see what you can learn from it. Just like we were talking earlier about profitability being a tender subject, unless you look at your own financial statements, you're never really going to know. And you need to
Right.
know. Yeah.
Exactly. Well, I talk to people all the time who tell me that they argue with people over bringing in money, right? My accounts receivable is backing up. And for me, luckily I had Anastasia who set it up so that all of our stuff comes in electronically. There's never any chasing anybody down. But if not, you could say, oh, it's not so bad. If you don't look at those numbers, you don't know how bad it is.
You don't know. Understanding what your days payable are is a powerful piece of data in your business. Look, I got very clear early on in my business that while I know finances are very important, it was data that I couldn't manage on my own. So I had to go
Right.
with a professional who I could trust with this information, and we could have very intellectual conversations about the data and what it means in my business, especially when it comes to my finances. Bringing this
Yes.
person on board who knows this information, look, reduced my days payable
Right.
dramatically. It increased my
Exactly.
cash flow and made my business more profitable because someone was looking at the data. And I knew that I needed this help because it wasn't my strong suit. It wasn't my forte. That's not my subject matter expertise. But you've got to
Right.
surround yourself with a team who can read the data, who can look through that information and give you key metrics, key dashboard points that says, hey, business owner, we need you to take action here because these pieces of data are telling us this about the business.
Exactly. And I think to do that, at least for a small company, sometimes it's not even about the money of hiring somebody to do it. It's about the fear that they're going to see how
Yeah.
wrong you've been doing it.
Yeah.
Eh,
You've got to be vulnerable.
Well, and you're not alone in that. That's
No, you're
the
not.
crazy thing is we think, oh my God, the CPA is going to think I am just an idiot. Well, she has seen a lot of idiots. She
And a
has
lot
seen,
worse. Yes, you're not the
yes,
only
she's
idiot.
seen a lot of people who are
She's got a
idiots.
whole business built on idiots. It's okay. You
And
know what I'm
it's
saying?
okay.
But
Exactly. We're
you can
not meant to
learn
know this.
more. Yes, we're not. I'm not an accountant. I am
Right.
not a tax expert. That's not
Right.
what I do. I'm a coach. I'm a consultant. I help pull information out of people, not balance my books. I only have
Right.
10 fingers. That's where I stop counting. 10.
There
That's
you
as
go.
far as it goes. Right? So, in order for me to really tap into that data in my company, I needed someone who had that expertise. But I also had to do
Absolutely.
my part and keep learning about it. Even though I knew that I was making mistakes, but I had to keep learning about it so I could come solution focused to talk to that professional and not problem focused.
I want to go to that work that word you just said, solution focused.
Mhm.
It is a huge word. So talk a bit about how that goes in. So we're going to talk about growing an established business, but that solution focus is part of that.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Solution focused is a mindset that you want to take when problems occur. Problems are consistent, just like change is consistent. You can expect those things to happen. You have got to be thinking proactively how to resolve it, not how to dig yourself deeper into it, not how to
Right.
wallow in it. It's a mindset change. And if you are solution focused, answers come to you. Look, ruts don't last as long, and
Right.
success is more likely to come your way when you're solution focused. Whether you're advocating for yourself, trying to advocate for your business, trying to get a new customer, solution focused is where you want to be when you're marketing to a customer, when you're even looking at how to fix the problems that have occurred in your business infrastructure. Got to think about solutions, not about the mistakes that you made that got you here. You just want to
Right.
learn how not to make those same mistakes to get
Right.
different results. There you go.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. So let's talk about growing an established business. For 2 years, I said to my staff, I know there's something else we can do. I know there's something else we can do to grow this business. And for 2 years, I said it, and all of us kind of looked at it and we went, I don't know.
I don't know. Right.
So, how do you grow an established business?
We start with a very difficult exercise, but it's a central exercise, which is a lot of brainstorming. We
Right.
do a lot of brainstorming. And for a lot of business owners, it's a difficult thing to do because the brainstorming that you may get from peers in other industries don't always hit the nail on the head for how you may envision growth in your business. But having that input can jog creative spark that you may not have known is there. And besides, those people who are on the outside of your business looking in, they could be potential customers. So if
Yes.
they're coming to you with ideas that can solve their problems, again, solution focused, you're
Right.
going to create that opportunity for growth. Looking at what the customer's problems are and being solution focused about how your products and services can fill that void.
Yeah, that is great. And it's something that it occurs to me, you don't all have a Talbot Watkins. So I had a Talbot Watkins when I started my business. Went to him and I said, I do social media marketing. And he said, awesome, I'm going to hire you, which was great. And then he says, can you write blogs? I was like, well, yes, I can. And so I added blogs and he says, well, what about some email marketing? Well, of course I can do that. And he just kept asking me these questions, but not everybody's going to come to you and say, hey, can you do these things? So in one conversation with Talbot, I added 4 new services, but you're
That's
not always going to have that. So you need to be listening for that. You need to be listening for what problem are they having that you might have the solution for.
That's right. And look,
So,
2 ears, 1 mouth. There's science in that ratio. You need to listen more than you talk a lot of times because there's a lot in banter that could be the next $1 million deal.
absolutely.
Absolutely.
Absolutely. So, all right. Now I'm going to say something about you, and you know it because you are a lot like me in this one. In that you're talking to somebody, they tell you they're having a problem with something, and you're like, oh, I have a book for that.
Yeah.
So let's go to your book that you chose for the podcast today.
Who Moved My Cheese? It's a classic business book by Spencer Johnson. I think this book was probably written more than 20 years ago now. But the moral of the story is whoever moved your cheese, wallowing in the fact that it's moved, isn't solution focused. What's
Yes.
solution focused is going out to find new cheese, right?
Right.
That's the
Right.
moral of the story. They talk about rats in a maze and they give them names, hem and haw. I won't give away the story. It's a short read. It's available at your public library on Amazon, probably less than $3. That's how classic of a book this is. It's been around for a long time. And it really talks about that. You were talking about procrastination, precrastination. Oh my gosh, the sky is falling and the sky hasn't even fallen yet. I don't know what to do. They move the cheese. All of these emotions that you can
Yes.
go through when the goal that you thought was your target moves, and you have to
Right.
be able to adjust and rebound and align your journey to still make it to the new destination.
Well, and that's what we saw last year, right? We
Yes.
saw it when in March, when some people were like, "Oh, I just don't know what to do," and other people were like, "Oh, I know what I'm going to do. I'm going to try this thing I haven't been trying, but I think I can do it."
That's
Right?
right. Look,
So
it expedited businesses going to take out and carry out and curbside. Those things happen as a result. I mean, there's more food delivery now than there probably has been. Groceries are being received at homes. Lots of things that were sort of on the fringe are now mainstays as a result of someone moving the cheese and wrapping it in a global pandemic. Right?
absolutely, that's
There
exactly.
was, look, amongst all that chaos, there was opportunity because very smart people took a few moments to take a step back and look at the situation, see how people, customers, are reacting in this situation. Okay, if I sell cannolis and I have them in a shop, but people can't get to my shop, how can I get them cannolis? Because people still have sweet treats and it makes them feel good in a time of crisis. My gosh,
Absolutely.
delivery. I don't know about you, but I had French macarons actually delivered from Boston from a small business there who decided to start shipping her goods nationwide, taking on the extra expensive packing. But she's now got a nationwide business from a small little bakery in Boston.
Right. And she just made that decision. She just decided to do it.
She
Right.
decided to do it.
So,
That's right.
Carlos Gill was on this show, gosh, almost 8 months ago now. And the same thing. Pandemic hit. He was a marketing person. That's what he did. He did marketing just like me. But 2 weeks after the pandemic hit,
Yeah.
he's selling masks. And he ended up selling them to the NBA. A lot of NBA players are wearing them. A lot of the Major League Baseball players are wearing them because he just decided to do it.
That's right.
So,
There are a lot of business stories like that. People who looked for the lighthouse in the storm. That's what
exactly.
a savvy entrepreneur does. And I use that word different than a business owner. An entrepreneur remains on the cutting edge of trends and information that are separate and apart from what it is that they're doing in their business. A business owner, while has a more narrow focus, focuses more on the people that are affected and impacted by their business and their local community. You want to think a little bit bigger and broader, especially when chaos occurs, because you'd be surprised at the
Absolutely.
things you could read from that.
Absolutely. Cristel, this was so great. I'm so glad that you came on this show. So tell me how people find you.
People can find me if they look. I'm usually at home because I work from home with the pandemic, had to innovate how we do this, right?
Absolutely.
Everydayconsulting.net is my URL, but you're always welcome to call or email us. 443-853-1967 is our corporate number. And I'm emailable, cristel.sias@everydayconsulting.net.
Awesome. And let's go ahead and do a plug for the Goldman Sachs program. Who
Please.
should apply for this? Who should
Look.
apply for the Goldman Sachs program?
Now, we do have a pre-scripted list of qualifications you should meet. We really would like to have full-time business owners who have at least 2 employees in their business, one of which can be themselves, okay? But we want you to have an annual revenue of $150,000. But we also understand in this climate that may be hard to reach if you've been in business for at least 2 years. So if you haven't quite met all of those requirements, apply anyway. Let us tell you no. Don't write yourself off that list, because we have been known to make exceptions for dynamic business owners who really have a willingness to learn and grow their business.
Absolutely. And I understand you're looking right now. I mean, you're looking all over the country, but you're looking right now in Baltimore City. You want some Baltimore City businesses to apply.
Absolutely. We want Baltimore City businesses to apply. The reason that the 10,000 Small Business program is in Baltimore is through a generous collaboration of Goldman Sachs and Bloomberg Philanthropies. Mike Bloomberg holds Baltimore City near and dear to his heart. He's a Hopkins graduate and made Baltimore his home for a short period of time after graduation. So he cares about this city, and he is doing his part through this program by supporting it and supporting the businesses. So we want to help Mike. manifest his dream, right? By powering up
Exactly.
Baltimore City. So we're encouraging everyone in the state to apply, but we do have a special focus and passion for Baltimore City.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for this. You stick around 1 minute. I want to let everybody know what's coming up next, and I'll be right back to you.
Thanks.
All right, everybody. Next week we have not next week, the week after we have Marketing Moms. Next week we have one more of the Small Business Connection. Then we have Marketing Moms. That is going to be a really fun podcast because Anastasia and I are really fun, honestly. And we're going to talk about how to market your business, but we're going to start at the very beginning. What do you need to do before you put out your first post on social media? What are the things you need to do before that happens? And then we're going to walk you through all of it. We're going to give you new ideas each week. We're going to keep you up to date on what's happening in the industry. So it's going to be a different kind of podcast, but I think it's going to be fun. I hope you will subscribe and listen to it every week. We'd really appreciate that, and tell your friends about it. In the meantime, if you need help with your marketing and you don't want to do it yourself, that's asmmdigital.com. You can reach us there anytime. We do social media, we do websites and email marketing, any number of marketing things. And actually, if there's something we don't do, we've got a partner in that area for you. So please do give us a call, check out our website, see how we're doing. I want to come back to Cristel. Cristel, this has been really fun, and I'm going to miss seeing you every week.
Oh, well, you can still call me. I'm a sucker for a cup of coffee. Okay.
That's great. Well, I'm coming to bring you a basket anyway. So, yeah. All right, everybody. We will see you next week. Cristel, stick around for just 1 minute. All right. Bye-bye.